we can see no benefits for Rushey Mead, for any school, to go academic. That is an actual fact. There are no benefits. Now I know that people think that there are benefits, and one of the first things that people will say is, I've heard this said lots about different things, not just about Rushey Mead. Oh, but then you break free of local authority control. How wonderful that will be. The fact of the matter is that in law, the local authority doesn't have that much control. What we do have as a local authority is we have a brokerage role. As a local authority, we broker relationships, we broker initiatives, whether it's between individual schools, whether it's between the unions in a particular school, whether it's between schools and whatever it takes. Whatever the initiative, whatever the issue, the local authority has a strong role in terms of brokerage. Where we do have a small number of decision-making powers, we do not exercise that power on our own. We exercise that power in partnership, in consultation, and there is actually evidence that we listen. So we're not a local authority that goes around exerting our power willy-nilly. So there is nothing to break free from. And it is that partnership approach that, in my opinion, has really led to the improvements across the city. Now, the other big issue is that people believe, I think some people believe, that financially academies are better off than our schools, than local authority schools. Now let me say to you that I've spoken to officers, and there's two parts, and the budgets are quite complicated, so I'll try to be as succinct as possible. There's two parts in terms of the budget implications. One issue is around BSF, Building Schools of the Future, and the buildings and the budget for that ongoing. And the other issue is around the ordinary day-to-day, every year budget. In terms of the ordinary day-to-day budget, I can say to you now that by our calculations, Rushey Mead would be 5.2% better off if they went academic. However, they would have a whole lot more responsibilities that they would have to fund from that 5.2%, including school improvement, education welfare service, a whole raft of things. So although there would be a small amount of money better off, there would be a huge number of things that they would be responsible for. And the other issue is, and this can happen to any school, that sometimes things can happen and a school has budgetary pressures. Now, if they're a local authority school, they can come to the local authority and they can go through a forum called the Schools Forum. So it's not just the local authority making the decision. They can go to Schools Forum and they can say, we've got an exceptional cost pressure, can we have some extra money? And that is open to all local authority schools. That will not be open to an academy. The other issue is in terms of BSF. And although it's quite complicated, there is a thing called the affordability gap. And that is the gap between what a school pays and what the new costs are. And the local authority, and it's written into the BSF agreement for each school, the local authority meets the cost of that affordability gap. Now, by law, so this isn't about us being difficult, that's important, by law the local authority are not allowed to meet the affordability gap of a school that is an academy. So overall, when you put both bits together, overall there is no financial incentive for Rushey Mead to go academy. And in fact, the evidence suggests very strongly to me that financially it would not be a positive move for Rushey Mead. They would not gain, they may even lose some money. So that really does not stack up at all, and I think that's got to be a real concern. The other issue is around, what we're saying is that we have a partnership in this city, and you might say to me, well, you know, Rushey Mead's an outstanding school. Rushey Mead is meeting the needs of my child, and everything's really quite honky-dory. Thanks very much. So we don't need to be part of the partnership of schools. But I would say to you that just as no man can be an island, neither can a school. A school really does need to be part of other schools. There are feeder schools that feed into Rushey Mead. If those feeder schools slip, then the children that go to Rushey Mead then would have a far bigger job to do if those children have already slipped by the time they go to Rushey Mead. So I would say that no school is an island, and I would also say that I have seen schools across this country, in this city, that have been good schools. But sometimes things happen. A change in leadership. I've seen leadership teams decimated. Head teachers left, the deputies got the chance of a really good job at the same time, and somebody else in the leadership team has got pregnant or something, and all of a sudden this fantastically strong leadership team has been decimated. It's not easy and quick and simple to build a leadership team. But of course, you don't need to do it on your own if you're part of the family of schools. If you're in that situation and you're one of our schools, then it's our job as a local authority to broker that support, to work with the governors to say, there is a bit of a problem here. Let's identify what we need. Let's go out to the other schools, let's broker what it is that you need, and make sure that you've got that in place in a timely manner. So I suppose what I'm saying is no school should ever be complacent. You know, certainly we can't be complacent in our own life, can we? We all know that, you know, we can be bobbing along quite nicely, and sometimes something happens to take us off course. And why should a school be any different? And therefore, to keep with that partnership, that family of schools, to keep that safety net, as I always think of it, that safety net of the local authority, I think that for the long term, that is a really sensible way forward for any school. The other point that I would want to make is that whatever is put forward in an academy order, and I often hear of academy orders where the head teacher and the governor say, no, nothing's going to change. And you think, well, why are you doing it then? And the thing is that they may well say, nothing's going to change. Everything will just bob along as it's going. But in 18 months' time, that can all change. And academies don't go through the same processes that we go through as a local authority in terms of consultation. It doesn't work like that. So, you know, you might get term dates changed. I don't know. All I'm saying is, it is a possibility. Let's not pretend that what you agree to, if it is agreed, is going to be the same school in 18 months' time, because that's not the case. And we already know that there is a academy in this city that became an academy, I don't know, about 18 months ago, a year ago. Oh, they're already going to change dramatically, from what I can see, the pay and conditions of the staff. Now you might say, I hope you wouldn't, but you might say, well, that's not my concern. As long as my child's doing well, you know, I'm not a teacher, why should I worry about that? But we should be worried, because at the end of the day, if the teachers are well respected, if you're working in partnership with them, then you will get the best out of them. And I don't know one teacher in this city that works 1265 hours. They all work significantly more than that. significantly. You might see them go out of school at 3:30, but I can absolutely guarantee you that on the odd occasion they leave that school at 3:30, it's because they're going to start work again at 8 o'clock at night. I can absolutely guarantee it. I have worked with teachers. Before I was a councillor, I was a governor at a number of schools in this city. I have relatives that are teachers, and I know the hours that they do. So changing the terms and conditions, all that goodwill, all the goodwill that has been developed across this city in individual schools, that will go. Because if you treat people badly, they do not perform well. That is what we know. That's not, a teacher wouldn't want to do that, but that's what happens. People, are not at their optimum when they are treated badly. So let's not forget that whatever is being proposed today, in 18 months' time, could look radically different. Now that can't happen with a local authority school. With a local authority school, there's far, far more in terms of democratic accountability. Let's just think of how much democratic accountability there is in terms of schools that are going academy. I should get it out. But we got a letter today. Why are we so grateful to the unions for arranging this meeting? Because otherwise we've not got a voice as a local authority. We've got a letter saying that we can do a written submission to the governors that they'll consider, and that's it. We don't have any right to go out to the community. We don't have any right to engage with the teachers. We don't have any right to talk to parents. And that's the level of democracy when it comes to a huge decision about academy. All we can do is be very grateful that the unions set up a meeting last night and set up a meeting tonight so that we can get our voice out and we can send a letter to the governing body towards the end of the period. So I have to say that I feel very, very strongly about this issue. I was always promised that Rushey Mead would never consider academy status unless the local authority agreed. And I give you a categorical assurance, the local authority never agreed, never suggested, have never wanted this, and never will want this, because it is not in the best interest of Rushey Mead children, and it is not in the best interest of the other children in this city. Thank you.